there's something valuable in being open to the unknown, right? Because in a way, this is what it is simply what we don't know, what we can't. I guess it's in some ways, it's also the idea of like God or something, right? Because can you truly ever be an atheist, or can you only simply be an agnostic, which is, I can't prove it's there, but I can't prove it's not there either. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
And I think that that's kind of like a useful way to deal with things that are traditionally viewed as debunked, discredited, discrediting, to even consider, is that it's worth considering what's unknown or what we can't know.
So I'm very wary of giving advice, so I'm just not going to do it. Let me tell you though.
You should probably just stop saying beforehand, I'm not going to give you advice.
Well, because it's my way of saying, but I'm about to say something but I vaguely think it's just a way of indemnifying me against people buy the wrong crystal off my GeoCity shop.
Yeah.
I think, and then let's touch on astrology very briefly, and we'll do it. And I'm going to make this point using that. So I think that these systems, I think that these ways of thinking, I think that they can be, if nothing else, let's say, that they could potentially be useful to gain insight into your own mind. If dealt with responsibly, I guess would be my best way, and with some knowledge and with some foundation to... It's kind of like this, man. It's kind of like this. It's the same thing with, like, let's say psychedelic drugs. Not everybody ought to be doing that. And almost everyone at certain times in their life shouldn't be doing that. You got to go into certain things. When you're going out on the margins, you need to be hydrated, and you need to be stable, and you need to be grounded to some degree. So if you, it's
like the sirens. It's like the sirens. The story of who is this? Odysseus? Mm-hmm. It was Odysseus that they tied him to the mast. So this is important because I think this is the same thing. It's the same thing with creative work, right? Which Jung thinks is also actually, if you're really getting into some deep world-changing shit, that you may be tapping into this collective unconscious is one of his ideas. So it's that same idea that there's an inherent kind of risk to messing around in the depths, in the darkness, in the unknown. And I think the story of Odysseus kind of exemplifies that idea that you better be secure or you're going over the edge. And it's the same thing with psychedelics. And it's the same thing with, I guess, with these kind of world-shattering ideas, because what do you do with a world where if you upend your entire framework for it and you say, here's my world, and you toss that out, and now you have opened up a whole cavern underneath what you thought you were standing on. And so that's not it's something to be dealt with responsibly, because any idea that can be so expansive can become a void, can become a kind of crutch or something. And you see that with a lot of, like, when the new age stuff gets just kind of like watered down and warped, it just becomes a pacifier or some kind of crutch that people rely on, which is just the same thing with anything, same thing with any idea. It becomes something we use to stabilize ourselves against the inherent unpredictability of the world. And a lot of people need that, but you want to make sure that you're doing it in a way that helps you instead of hurts you and others.
I think that the safest bet is actually just to use it like that. Because again, I'm saying that if you take some of these ideas absolutely seriously, the ramifications for it, it's kind of hard to calculate, isn't it? I mean, if you really operated in a world in which you thought that there is no causality and that, do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's almost...
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what I would do. I don't know actually even how to live outside that framework.
Right, and I'm not sure that it should be lived in, except for... by certain people who are attuned and prepared to do that, and by people at certain times in their life.
Yeah.
That's all I'm trying to say. That's all I'm trying to say. And I think it's also important to say, if you find yourself looking into the abyss, you might ask yourself why you ended up looking in the first place.